So, The Mandalorian. I was hoping to do a trailer breakdown for it like I've done with everything else, but we didn't get an official trailer, and while you can watch the footage online, I feel weird about posting leaks like that to my channel, so instead I'm just gonna do my best to go through what we learned at the panel, and I'll describe the footage and my reaction to it. But it's easy to find online if you want to see a recorded version for yourself. Early on, Favreau and Filoni talked about how they've been collaborating together, which to me it almost sounds like a partnership more than just Filoni directing an episode or two. He wrote an episode as well, and I just get the sense that they're balancing each other out in a great way. I think Favreau is going to bring in the stuff fans love, including Legends content, and Filoni is going to keep it all true to what a Star Wars story is, not to mention he has his own love for Mandalorian culture. I hope that's not unfair to say to either of them. I don't know what their working relationship is like, I just think the two of them working together could be really special. We mostly got introduced to the very basic setup and the characters. It takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and we're in the midst of the chaos that happens when one regime falls and a new one takes its place. It sounds like Coruscant and the core worlds are doing fine, but the Outer Rim is having a tougher time like always. The Aftermath books set up the idea that the New Republic would be shutting bounty hunters down, or at least placing strict limitations on them, and one of the clips we saw definitely suggested that might be the case, so that's some really great connectivity. As far as characters go, we got to learn a little more from Pedro Pascal, Gina Carano, and Carl Weathers' characters. With Dave Filoni there staring everyone down, we didn't get a whole lot out of Pascal, who described the Mandalorian basically the same way we've already heard. Badass gunslinger with questionable morals in the outer reaches of the galaxy. But we did learn quite a bit about Cara Dune, the ex-rebel shock trooper who has trouble reintegrating into society, played by Gina Carano. I am super into that idea, assuming she's also got some questionable morals. Maybe she did some things she's not proud of, like Cassian. Hell, maybe she knew Cassian. So far, I'm most interested in learning about her character, since they're being so secretive of the Mandalorian himself. But that's not to say I'm not interested in Carl Weathers' character, Greef Karga, the head of a bounty hunting guild. The first clip we saw was the Mandalorian tracking his target on an icy-looking planet or area. It had a very Western vibe as he walked into a saloon or something. The poster image of him in the door is from that clip, and it was good, solid stuff. Then there was a bit of a behind-the-scenes reel that had some cool images without much context, but we did learn that the Mando's ship is called the Razor Crest, and that the show starts off with him just out hunting his bounties, doing his thing. The rest of the panel was mostly about the making of the show, and it's really great to hear, but I want to talk story, so I'm skipping to more footage descriptions, but honestly, go watch the panel if you haven't, you won't regret it. So the next clip was a nice long scene of the Mandalorian getting the job that I think sets up the premise of the show. Greef offers him a number of low-paying jobs, which are all he has, and I think that ties into what I was talking about in the Aftermath books. We get some interesting stuff about how bounty hunting works with pucks and chits, and that's pretty cool. But there's an off-the-books job he can take, so he walks down the street where I'll admit the fan service felt a little overboard to me. There was a roasting Kowakian, Jabba's little eyeball droid, a gonk droid. None of it was out of place, it just seemed like a lot right in a row. But hey, that's just how the universe is. Maybe everyone's got that eyeball droid thing. So he goes inside and meets a very fancy-looking Werner Herzog, who is an Imperial with some doctors, stormtroopers, and everything. He offers the Mando some Beskar as a form of payment, Mandalorian iron first introduced in Legends that then made its way into Star Wars Rebels. It's what their armor is made of. The Imperials are offering him a lot of Beskar for delivery of the target alive. Herzog says he's okay if the target dies, but the doctor isn't happy about it. They give him barely enough information to do the job and he gets up to leave, but then Herzog acts like he's a super good guy for giving Beskar back to the Mandalorians, even though it looks like the Imperials took it in the first place. That scene led directly into a trailer of sorts showing the Razor Crest, a fight between the Mando and Cara Dune, Giancarlo Esposito's character, who is an Imperial with quite a few Death Troopers, and more. It's hard to know what's going on at all with the leaked footage, but I definitely liked Cara's fighting scenes, and I was absolutely floored by a shot of an IG droid doing its thing. Don't get me wrong, I like IG-88, but I've always kind of wondered how he could possibly be a believable threat in live action. This one shot showed me, and I am now a believer. All the action scenes looked pretty solid. I do have a theory on why they didn't put it out publicly, though. I don't think the footage is finished or ready for widespread scrutiny because I honestly wasn't that impressed with it. The story content was all good, I'm into everything they said about the characters and the setup, but most of what we actually saw felt incomplete, if that makes sense. It felt a little fan-filmy, albeit a very expensive fan film. I think that comes down to post-production just not being complete. Favreau even said after one of the clips that they had to go finish it. I just thought it could use more color grading, tightening up on the editing, all that kind of stuff that I honestly do believe can take the footage from looking fine to great. I think of all the panels we saw, I found The Mandalorian to be the most underwhelming just because of that footage. I'm still really into all the story ideas, and I do think it's going to wind up being great fun when it's finished. I'm a little worried that the Mando's target will wind up being a kid that helps him learn to love or something, which feels like a story I've seen a lot. But overall, even though I wasn't blown away by that footage, I think there is a lot of potential here. And again, I'm trying to not judge what I saw too harshly because I absolutely don't think what we were shown was a finished product. I know this video wasn't much to look at visually because there just wasn't a whole lot to show. Sorry about that, but hopefully it gives you at least a taste of what we were shown and a little more context for the story. So let me know what you thought of the panel, the footage, or the description of the footage in the comments. Tell me what you're most excited for. And honestly, if you saw the footage and you completely disagree with my opinion, tell me. I'd love to be in the minority on this. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.